So yesterday, Nintendo released a just over 10-minute video of Tears of the Kingdom, and, well, I've got some things to say about it. So, straight away, I mean, it's more Zelda, right? So this is going to be amazing. And you start in Hyrule, and I mean, it just kind of looks like Breath of the Wild. I mean, I know that they were going to keep the same art style. I knew that it was going to be, you know, a continuation of Breath of the Wild, but, you know, there's part of me that wishes it was slightly different, just straight up. But I did love Breath of the Wild, so I'm really happy to see like an extended Breath of the Wild. So we start off like down in Hyrule, and then what I really like is obviously we're in the sky now, right? So it's a little bit of a mixture of Skyward Sword. And they're like, well, how'd you get up? And this rock falls down from the sky, and they show a new ability called Recall that basically lets you rewind time and you can shoot back up into the sky. Now, I hope that's not the only way of getting up into the sky. It's not, because some of the stuff they show later obviously proves that. But one thing I would love to have seen is maybe like in the end game or later on or whatever, being able to get loft wings, like in Skyward Sword that I just mentioned. That would be so cool if you could get loft wings and then fly anywhere that you wanted. Just basically get a flying mount, because they show you getting knocked off, or Link getting knocked off of one of these sky cities later on, and you just fall straight back down to Hyrule. And I'm like, oh man, I know I would get a bit angry if I was doing like a little island in the sky, and then all of a sudden I get knocked down and there's no way of getting back to that precise point. Like, if those falling rocks only happen at certain times and places, that's going to frustrate me because I can't go back to where I just was. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure later on, as the game progresses, that's the case. You will be able to just go back up at like pretty much any time. But immediately and initially, I don't think that's going to be the case. Now, they then show you going up, you know, into the sky and being on like a little island. I love the look of it. The aesthetics are really cool. I love the bright blue sky. I love being able to look down on Hyrule. And they show one of the new enemies, which is like, you know, everything seems to be stuck together with this like greeny, blue, turquoisey jelly that seems to be holding this new kind of like enemy together. And it shows Link slapping it with a stick, and yeah, the stick breaks. So we still have breakable, you know, items. But that's when they show one of the new things. So yeah, you've got a stick, right? And it sucks. Now you can combine it with anything. Anything, basically. I'm sure there's a limitation, but I hope there's not. I hope it is any item can be stuck together with fuse. So they specifically show you getting a stick and fusing it together with a rock, and it looks so cool. It increases the damage, probably the durability changes a little bit as well, and that to me is going to be just incredible for immersion. Being able to just pick up anything that's around you and use it as a weapon, like, the possibilities are endless. And one thing I'm really hyped to see is other people's creations. People just making random stuff and putting out videos of them like doing random challenges that they've made, you know, taking out this enemy with a stake or whatever it might be, you know, like I love the idea of that. And the immersion, it's like they've taken Breath of the Wild and then just like made it better. And I hope that's the case. They also show, you know, Link getting like a stick and putting a pitchfork together and that kind of thing. And also, one thing that I'm really hyped about is the arrows. You can now attach other stuff to your arrows as well. And they specifically show one of the eyeball things going on an arrow, and it makes it a homing missile. And I'm so hyped for that. Like that like easy mode, bring it on, please. Like, just give me that. And they show a leaf, you know, and stuff like that getting attached, and cold jelly and whatever that like freezes enemies. The possibilities of this are just amazing, and I hope everything has an effect somehow, you know, which I'm sure it will, but it just looks really, really cool. I love that idea. The shield is also not left out either. Link attaches like a mushroom to the shield and it creates a smoke bomb. Like, awesome. I love that idea. So you can be totally like strategic based on the items that are around you or that you've got in your inventory, and I love that. And now traversal is totally different because you can stick stuff together with this jelly and make freaking rafts and aircrafts and basically anything you can imagine and that you have access to around you, I suppose. But you can make whatever. So they show, you know, Link making a raft and putting these like fans on the back, which of course we've seen in one of the trailers that there's some sort of flying ship that they've made. made. But again, possibilities are potentially endless. Like, this is just pretty much Zelda crafting of the wild, right? This is the ultimate craft game now. Like, you can just basically make anything. They've basically made Minecraft Zelda, and that's the kind of vibe I'm getting from this. But yeah, I think it's just going to be a lot of fun just messing around with all these features. And then one that I was not expecting at all was Ascend. So you can now ascend through anything as long as you can get under it. So as long as there's a ceiling, you can ascend through the ceiling. Like, what the hell is that about? Like, that's just random, but I love it. So yeah, I'm really happy about that. So you can be under a mountain, and providing there's a cave, you can get to the top of the mountain. So instead of having to climb up the side, which used to frustrate me quite a lot because time and stamina like limitations, right? Now you can just suck yourself through a mountain or whatever it might be. And again, it's just making this a fully open world, like absolute immersion. Do whatever you want, go wherever you can. Like, it's just awesome. And again, the enemies also have these random like concoctions of weapons as well. And they show Link getting flown off, like flung off of one of these islands and flying down back to Hyrule. The game just seemed really smooth. You could see the whole of Hyrule. It just looked so nice. I loved that animation. You can speed it up as well. You're not like waiting 5 minutes to hit the ground. But I really liked how smooth that transition of going from up to down was, and being able to see everything around you as well. There was no load screen like in Skyward Sword or anything like that. It's just bam, open world vibes fully. Love it. But now on to some concerns. So I mean, the game doesn't seem to be running amazingly. It seems to be running good. You know, it seems to be running good. Bear in mind, we're running on an 8-year-old APU here. Like the Switch is old now. It's 6 years old, but the hardware inside it, the chip that runs the graphics and the processing, the APU, is 8 years old. That's nearly a decade old, and I think it shows. I'm sorry. Like, I'm a Nintendo diehard. That's why this whole channel is basically Nintendo, right? And I love it, and I will defend Nintendo's decision for more fun and more gameplay options over graphical, over graphics. But I mean, we see so much flickering. Like, if you look at the edges of the screen whilst they do anything, all of the shadows are just flickering really badly. Like, and I think the video compression and YouTube compressing videos, and it always makes it look worse, doesn't do it any favors. So I'm hoping that it's a little tiny bit sharper when we actually get the game. And I think that will be the case looking at official screenshots that have been released. They do look sharper than the video that we've seen. So I think that's a YouTube problem. But the flickering and some of the frame dips that we see as well, that's a game problem. Maybe it will get patched out, but I can't imagine it will, because there's certain limitations, and I think this game is pushing the Switch to the absolute maximum. And I think it does really well. I still think it looks great. I love the aesthetic they've chosen, which definitely aids with that. The cel-shaded kind of nature like helps. But yeah, I mean, some of the textures, some of the like leaves and stuff, and it's just the flickering for me. Every time the camera moves, there is flickering, and it's so distracting. Like, I couldn't even focus on what they were trying to show us because all I could see was everything shaking in the background, and it was just like, oh, the pop-in doesn't seem so bad, and I like the kind of like bokeh, like the out of focusness they give when you're like targeting an enemy and stuff. So there's choices that have been made for aesthetic reasons and help you like zone in, which I think is really cool. But yeah, that flickering is horrible to me, and I think this definitely shows that the Switch needs a successor now, and I'm really fingers crossed that this game, Tears of the Kingdom, is the same as Breath of the Wild, where Breath of the Wild launched on the Wii U and then came over to the Switch, right? I really hope that this is the case with this. I hope that the Switch 2 or Pro comes out, maybe in a year's time, and that this game either gets updated and is backwards compatible, or that they release a patch or whatever, or release a new version of the game for that. I don't care. Just, make it a little bit better, smooth that frame rate out, sort these flickering issues out. But I mean, other than that, I didn't really see any like issues. It was just that like flickering, some low sort of textures, and the odd frame dips. Other than that, I'm fine. I'm a little bit sad we didn't see more of the game, but then why do we want spoilers? I feel like they were kind of like forced in to show something because the game's so close to release. But to be honest, what we've seen, I'm really hyped about. And again, it just feels like the ultimate immersion, and I'm so hyped for that. So what do you think? Let us know down in the comments. And if you want an even longer discussion about this, me and AJ have done a video, a long podcast about this. So go check it out as well. And check out another video by me here too. And just make sure to subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Bye.